Do you believe then, I'm curious, that the pain that you experienced, just overall, not just in that moment, but the pain you experienced was was necessary for you to become who you are now? Or could you have gotten here another way with a different
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's what came to my mind just now. We all go through moments. I'm going to give you a moment to think. We all go through moments and experiences where we become resilient, we toughen up, we grow, we have cuts, scrapes, and bruises. Our muscles get stronger, our mental fortitude becomes stronger, and then we are who we are now. And that's what your kids are going to learn and know about you now. So
I will say it this way: the pain is necessary. So there's a book by a man named Joseph Campbell called "The Hero with a Thousand Faces." Are you familiar with this book? So it's actually a treatise on the hero's journey. Now there's this movie called Star Wars. Okay,
nah.
which I don't know if you can see my background or not, but a little bit of a fan.
I'm with you on Star Wars, so don't worry. Okay. I was going to get to Luke later, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, well, here we go.
I have
Perfect
a question
example.
about that.
So here with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell noticed that all these archetypes in nearly every culture, they all have this story, and there's actually this like story arc that everyone follows. What's really interesting is people whose lives have touched others have all also gone through this overarching story arc. It's crazy. And what's so beautiful about it, what's so amazing about it too, is there's this predictable pattern, okay, that you can actually go through and see. And it's that pattern that as you look at how someone's life follows that, the pain that they have, there's this part where it's called death. It's basically the bottom of the barrel. Like you're at rock bottom, excuse me. Okay. And you have the choice. And here's what's really interesting. The villain's journey starts at rock bottom, as does the hero's. Okay. The villain's journey is one where they have gone to rock bottom and then they decide, screw it, I'm done with all of it. And then they become the destructive force in the lives of the heroes later on. Okay. Everyone hits rock bottom. Everyone has a choice. So what Luke does, okay,
yes,
is Luke comes back and he says what? So he looks at Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for people. Okay.
I don't.
And so he's like, Aunt Beru, Uncle Owen, right? He shows up and they are burnt to a crisp. They're dead. And so now he has what's called an inciting incident where he has to decide, what am I going to do? So he decides I'm going to go fight this evil empire. But then he winds up at the Death Star, and what happens to his beloved mentor? Okay. He turns into laundry.
And he becomes an inspiration. Yes, the Force.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly. And then what happens? And then Luke has this epic battle and victory. And then the cycle starts all over again. Happened in Empire Strikes Back, happened in Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
I was telling somebody about this recently where, he's in the throne room with the Emperor. And, I can feel your anger. Do it. Strike me down with it. Right? Good old, what is it? Yeah, forgot the guy's name. But anyway, the actor. So that's what's funny about that is that people don't realize that, yes, the pain is necessary. It's something that you have to go through. If you're going to go through pain with purpose.
Well, you're basically going back to embracing it, however you put it earlier.
Find peace in the pieces. Embrace.
Embrace.
Exactly.
I call it accept, but yes. I don't mean like I like it. I accept, acknowledge.
Correct. Yeah. I don't have to be happy about it.
Nobody's happy about it.
Right. I don't have to be happy about it.
You can't stay in denial. The hardest thing I find is moving someone from denial to the next stage, of anger and depression or bargaining until they finally reach that acceptance. That's the reference I make. Yeah. Wow. So, just to bring this back home, the dark side that Luke had to confront, what was it like for you facing your dark side? And then what compelled you to not go dark? And I work with a lot of kids, and they go very negative very quickly. Oh, we lost. We're losing 4-0. It's the first minute of the soccer game. We're going to lose. And they're negative. It's the first inning. We give up 9 runs. It's the first inning. So, and the reframe. How did you reframe? If I bring it back to, see, people go through and use methods that are kind of CBT methods or ACT or DBT, all the acronyms, all the behavioral, all the psychology terms. They don't do it consciously sometimes. They do it out of desperation, out of frustration, out of fear, and that compels them. Sometimes they don't learn from that, but those that do make every effort to implement it again and again as they need to, because now they have had a template to work from. So for you, what was that? You're facing the dark side, and you can stay or you can go up and go down.
I had a staff member years ago that used to work for me, and he said, dude, people have really screwed you over and you still love them. Why? He's like, if anybody has a reason to be angry, bitter, hateful, it's like, you have every reason to do that.
But where do I go from there? Right? You're saying, if I'm going to be angry and hateful, then who am I going to be?
What happens next? We all experience it.
Yes,
The thing that you have to decide in that moment is, can you live with who you will be afterward? And can other people live with who you will be afterward? But here's the thing. When someone, I'm not a clinician, so this is my strict opinion. But in my opinion, when somebody is narcissistic in nature, okay, and they choose the dark side.
I got you now.
They choose the dark side because they look at it and say, now I have power, which comes from wounding, right? And actually, back to Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker, you turned her against me, okay? And you've done that yourself, Anakin, right? Like, sorry if I'm spoiling this for people. Great movies, you should go and watch them. Yeah. Anyway, but it really is an analog for life, because that's a moment where it's like, okay, how much of the things that I'm going through are because I made bad choices that led me into the circumstances?
So you're talking about taking responsibility.
Exactly. That are now bringing me to this place where it's like, okay, now granted, losing a child, business partner, all that kind of stuff. But you know what? Even there, I think it was Maya Angelou that said, when people show you who they are, believe them. And the business partner showed me who he was, but it just didn't click for me. See, I guess that's the decision. It's taking responsibility for yourself and saying, I am going to decide, can I live with myself? And the narcissist will say, yes, I can live with myself because now I have power. But if somebody builds their life on love for people, love for humanity, love for each other, okay? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. What a concept, okay? If people have that kind of love, I couldn't live with myself if I allowed hate to consume me. So no matter what, even like the former business partner that did horrible things, I've forgiven him. This is going to sound crazy. I love him in a way. I wish the best for him. I hope that he finds whatever peace it is that he's trying to seek out in his destructive behaviors, and that he pivots and turns his life towards something so much better. Maybe he already has. I don't know. We haven't talked in God knows how long. But it is the personal choice to say, I get to choose who I'm going to be. And when you face the darkness, you can say, screw them all. I'm just going to hate. Go ahead. Do that. And then you'll find yourself consumed later on.
And where do you go from there? Exactly.
You'll find yourself consumed later on. And then the people that you are trying to eventually love, or the people that you might even fall in love with, or maybe even there's a romantic relationship, for example, that someone is presented with, that hatred will consume them so much that it will consume that other person, and that other person will be repelled completely and say, I can't, because the hate and the love are not compatible forces. They don't blend. They repel each other. But what the difference is, when anger consumes, it consumes in total darkness and causes destruction. Right. When love consumes, it completely overtakes anger if someone lets themselves be overtaken by love, and it repairs and rebuilds.
Yes, well put.
But it's always the choice of the individual. And I decided in the darkest moments not to be angry, not to be bitter, not to be hateful, not to have hatred. Why? What would have been the point? And there are people out there that would be like, well, I hate God. I'm like, well, you can. One, if you don't believe God is real, you can't hate somebody that's not real. But that's a separate thing altogether.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, if you're operating in hatred for whatever, I hate them because I was abused as a child, or I hate them because I was this antagonized situation. I hate because of insert reason here. Go ahead. And then you reap what you sow. Resiliency comes from love, not hate.
Exactly. No, well put. Stephen, I've got to tell you, this has been a wonderful experience hearing your story. It is just a pleasure. I look forward to, if we have an opportunity down the road, to explore some other pivot point moments that might have impacted your life, to have continued again. I want to mention that this has been something that I know our listeners are going to be really inspired by and motivated to take a closer look at themselves. And I want to thank you very much for spending time with us here on Pivot Point Strategy for Change. I'm Nick Michael. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Pleasure.
Enjoy. Have a great evening. I look forward to our conversation again.
Me too.